Do native speakers sometimes sound more natural than your English, even when the idea is actually very simple?
Then this lesson is for you.
Because today we're talking about one small verb that appears everywhere in real spoken English. Get.
And this matters a lot because, yes, you can speak English without using get very much.
But if you avoid it, your English often sounds more formal, more textbook-like, and less like real everyday conversation.
Native speakers use get all the time because it helps them say things in a quicker, lighter, more natural way.
They use it when they receive something, buy something, become something, arrive somewhere, bring something, or suddenly understand something.
So today, we're going to help you stop seeing get as one confusing verb and start seeing it as one of the most useful tools in spoken English.
First, you'll hear a real conversation.
Then we'll come back and explain what get really does, why people use it so much, and how you can start using it more naturally too.
Let's get started. Today's topic is such a good one because get is one of those words learners hear constantly, but many of them still don't really feel confident using.
Yes, definitely. I think a lot of learners know get in one basic way, maybe as receive or get something, but then they hear native speakers using it everywhere and it starts to feel almost too flexible.
Yes, like somehow this one little verb is doing half the work in English.
And honestly, sometimes it really feels like that.
So let's start with the most important question. Why do native speakers use get so much?
I think the simplest answer is this. Because get makes English easier, faster, and more natural. It often replaces longer, more formal, or more specific verbs with something simpler and more everyday.
That's such an important point. So it's not that English cannot work without get, it's that everyday spoken English often prefers it.
Yes. If you say receive, become, arrive, understand, or bring, those words are often correct, but in real conversation, people very often choose get instead.
So learners need to understand something very important here. Get is not only a vocabulary topic, it's a fluency topic.
Yes, because if you don't really understand get, you can still speak English, but you may sound too formal, too textbook-like, or too heavy.
That makes a lot of sense. Let's go step by step. If I say, I got a message this morning, what is happening there?
There, got means received, but I got a message sounds much more natural and conversational than I received a message in everyday speech.
And if I say, I got a new phone, that can mean I bought it, I received it, or I somehow ended up having it.
Right, and that's one of the reasons get is so useful. It often focuses on the result more than the exact process.
So the important idea is, before I didn't have it, now I do.
Yes, that's why get works so naturally in sentences like I got a gift, she got a new job, we got tickets, he got a letter.
That already feels very real. But then get changes again when we say, I'm getting tired.
Yes, and that's another huge everyday meaning. In that case, get means become or change into a new state.
So I'm tired is the state, but I'm getting tired is the movement toward that state.
Yes, and that's one of the most useful ideas in this whole lesson. Get often carries a sense of change.
That's really helpful. So if something changes, get often appears.
Yes, for example, it's getting cold. I got hungry. She got upset. He got angry. We're getting ready. You'll get better soon.
And this is where learners often suddenly hear native speakers more clearly.
Yes, because once you start noticing that pattern, spoken English becomes much easier to recognize.
What about place and movement? Because people also say things like, I got home late.
Yes, that's another massive use. In everyday spoken English, get very often means arrive or reach a place.
So instead of always saying, I arrived home late, people very often say, I got home late.
Yes, and not only get home, also get here, get there, get to work, get to the station, get to London.
That sounds much more like real spoken English.
Yes, arrive is correct, but get often sounds lighter and more natural.
And then there's another very common everyday meaning. Can you get me a glass of water?
Yes, there, get means go and bring or go and fetch.
So if I say, I'll get you a coffee, I mean, I'll go and bring it.
Right, and that's why this verb appears constantly at home, at work, in cafes, in restaurants, everywhere.
So really, if you live a normal life in English, get follows you everywhere.
That's actually true.
Now let's talk about one of the most satisfying meanings of get.
I think I know which one you mean.
Yes, I get it.
That one is so important because when people say I get it, they usually mean I understand, but in a much more natural, immediate, spoken way.
And I don't get it sounds very natural too.
Yes, and also, do you get it? I didn't get the joke. He didn't get what I meant.
So one small verb is covering receiving, changing, arriving, bringing, and understanding.
Yes, and that's why learners shouldn't think of get as one word with one translation. It's much better to think of it as one everyday tool with several very common jobs.
That's a really important shift.
Yes, because if learners try to memorize it as one dictionary meaning, they get confused. But if they connect it to situations, it starts to feel logical.
So let's make that really clear. When do native speakers naturally choose get?
Very often, when something comes to you, when something changes, when you reach a place, when you go to bring something, when something becomes clear in your mind.
That already makes it feel much less chaotic.
Yes, and then the next step is hearing it again and again in natural examples.
Because really, this lesson is not about becoming a grammar expert on get.
No, it's about sounding more natural and understanding more natural English.
So if someone asked you, why should I bother learning get properly if I can already say receive, become, arrive, and understand, what would you say?
I'd say because those words are fine, but get often sounds more like real life. It helps your English become more relaxed, more fluent, and easier to use in the moment.
That's such a strong answer.
And also because native speakers use it constantly, so if you don't get used to it, listening will stay harder than it needs to be.
That's so true. So this is not only about what you say, it's also about what you hear.
Yes, learners who really begin to feel get often understand everyday English much better.
And I think that's what makes this topic so valuable. It's one small word, but it opens a very big door.
Yes, definitely.
Now let's slow this down and make it much easier to understand.
Yes, because the problem for many learners is not that get is difficult grammar. The real problem is that they don't know why native speakers use it so much.
And the answer is actually very simple. Native speakers use get because it helps them speak in a shorter, easier, more everyday way.
Yes, you can say receive, become, arrive, bring, or understand, and those words are fine. But in real conversation, people very often choose get because it sounds lighter and more natural.
So this lesson is really about one important shift, not what is the translation of get, but what kind of situations naturally lead to get.
That question is much more useful.
When something comes into your life, native speakers very often use get. So instead of always saying receive, buy, or obtain, people often say, I got a message, I got a new coat, she got a gift, we got tickets.
And what makes this interesting is that get often focuses on the result, not the exact method.
Yes, before you didn't have it. Now you do. That's the feeling.
Maybe you bought it, maybe someone gave it to you, maybe it arrived in your inbox. In many everyday situations, English doesn't need to make that very precise. Get is enough.
And that's one reason it sounds so natural. It's flexible without sounding strange.
Then we move to one of the biggest uses of get, change. When something becomes different, get appears everywhere in real spoken English.
So instead of always saying become, people often say, I'm getting tired. It's getting cold. He got angry. She got upset. We got hungry. My coffee got cold.
And the simplest way to understand this is get often shows movement into a new state.
Yes, not just the state itself, but the change.
So, I'm tired, this is my state. I'm getting tired, I'm moving into that state.
That's why get feels more alive and more spoken than become.
Yes, become is correct, but get often sounds more natural in everyday English.
Now let's talk about place. In real spoken English, when people talk about arriving somewhere, they very often use get. So you hear things like, I got home late. We got there early. She got to work at 9. How did you get to the airport? When did you get here?
And this matters because learners often know arrive, but native speakers often prefer get in ordinary conversation.
Yes, arrive is not wrong at all, but get often sounds more relaxed and more natural in speech.
And this is a good example of the bigger lesson. Sometimes English is not about using the most formal word. Sometimes it's about using the word people actually use all the time.
That's a very important point.
And learners should also notice one useful pattern. Get to the office, get to the station, but get home, get here, get there.
That small detail comes up constantly in real English.
Another really practical use of get is when you go and bring something.
For example, I'll get you a coffee. Can you get me a glass of water? I'll go get the keys. She got a blanket for the baby.
This is such practical daily English. It's simple, useful, and everywhere in real life.
And again, this shows why get matters so much. It helps people speak quickly and naturally in ordinary situations.
Yes, instead of searching for something more formal like fetch, people usually just say get.
And that's the kind of thing that makes English sound more real.
Then we have one of the most useful meanings of all, understanding. In real spoken English, people often say, I get it. I don't get it. Do you get it? I didn't get the joke. Now I get what you mean.
And this sounds much more natural in many conversations than always saying, understand.
Yes, I understand is correct, but I get it often sounds more immediate, more natural, and more spoken.
So if we put all of this together, the easiest way to feel get is not as one translation, but as one flexible everyday verb that often connects to getting something, getting somewhere, getting into a new state, getting something for someone, getting an idea.
Yes, and that's why native speakers love it. It covers a lot of real life without sounding heavy.
So if a learner asks, how should I practice get, the answer is not through one giant list, but through small, real patterns. For example, when I receive something, I can often use get. When something changes, I can often use get. When I arrive somewhere, I can often use get. When I bring something, I can often use get. And when I understand something, I can often use get.
That already feels much more organized and much more useful.
Yes, and then the next step is very simple. Hear it, notice it, repeat it, and start using it in short, natural sentences.
That's what turns it from information into real speaking ability.
Here's one short model answer that uses get in several natural ways. Yesterday, I got home late, so I got tired very quickly. This morning, I got a message from a friend, but at first, I didn't get the joke. Then, I got it a few minutes later. After that, I went into the kitchen and got myself a coffee.
That's a great example because it sounds natural, simple, and completely real.
And that's the goal of this lesson, not to admire the grammar of get, but to start feeling how useful it really is in everyday English. Now let's practice a little. How would you say this more naturally? I received a message.
I got a message.
How would you say this more naturally? I became tired.
I got tired. Or I'm getting tired.
How would you say this more naturally? I arrived home late.
I got home late.
And how would you say this more naturally? Please bring me a glass of water.
Can you get me a glass of water?
And how would you say this more naturally? Now I understand.
Now I get it.
So, as you can see, you can speak English without using get very much.
But if you really want to sound more natural and understand more real spoken English, this is one of the most important verbs to learn properly.
Because it helps you talk about receiving things, changing states, arriving somewhere, bringing things, and understanding something in a very everyday way.
And that's what makes your English sound more real, more relaxed, and more fluent.
And if you enjoy lessons like this, don't forget to subscribe.
It really helps the channel grow and reach more people.
And it helps more learners practice real, natural English.
So subscribe, keep learning, and we'll see you in the next lesson.
Bye!